As an introduction to this video, I want to remind you, always follow sanitary guidelines while preparing food. Washing hands, avoiding cross-contamination from raw meats and fresh foods by using separate cutting boards, and always keep a clean and sanitized work area. Some of these recipes include cooking meat. It is best to use a food thermometer to check the internal temperature of meat for doneness. Remember to watch your food portions, and while shopping for food and ingredients, remember to read the food labels. That is especially helpful for diabetics watching their carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and sodium. All of the food I am preparing in this video is available in the Dining with Diabetes curriculum, and the recipe is included on the video. And finally, always remember to follow your healthcare provider's instructions concerning your specific dietary diabetic needs.
Welcome to Dining with Diabetes. My name is Don Zimmer. We're here with Michigan State University Extension Office. Today we're going to cook hearty bean soup and cheesy muffins. First we're going to start with the muffins as they take a bit longer to cook. We're going to mix our dry ingredients one bowl and then our wet separate and combine them. 2 cups all-purpose flour. And so with this muffin recipe, as diabetics, we want to cut our carbohydrates, and of course the all-purpose flour is quite high in carbohydrates. We could substitute half of the flour in this recipe with whole wheat, which would increase our nutrients, our fiber. Probably about the same in the carbohydrates, but once again that'd give us a healthier choice for our carbohydrates. We need 2 teaspoons baking powder. For our sweetener today, we're going to use Splenda, which is an artificial sweetener, reduces our carbohydrates again. This is going to be 2 tablespoons Splenda, and that's the granular Splenda we use. Half teaspoon salt. And that's our dry ingredients. We're just going to mix those with a whisk, which helps to spread those dry ingredients out very nicely. Sometimes if you don't use that whisk to spread it around, you get some clumps of baking powder and uneven leavening. And now for our wet, we're going to start with our 1 egg. Now I like to crack the egg into a bowl. Helps me see, just like that. In case there's a piece of shell that goes in there, I can grab it out before it goes into my dish. We need 1 cup skim milk, and of course the skim milk is no fat. Makes this a more healthy muffin. 1 cup. We're going to use for our fat today, we're going to use margarine, and so I've already melted it in the microwave. Our margarine, of course, is a vegetable-based fat. Try to look for the canola oil if you can. Margarine is probably the best choice you can use. And then a 1/2 cup shredded low-fat cheese. And so the low-fat, that's a 2% milk fat. And so the main thing is make sure you break up that yolk. Sometimes it won't break if you have nice fresh eggs. And once we have that mixed, we're just going to add that right to our dry ingredients. And so for these muffins, we're going to bake at 375. They're going to bake 20 to 25 minutes. It's going to be 12 muffins, and I have my 12-tin muffin pan. Just going to get a light coating of the nonstick spray. And to try to help with your portioning, I have a fancy trigger spoon. And I'll just start out 1 scoop per to try to keep it even. And then, as I said, we're going to go into our oven, 375, 20 to 25 minutes. We have a medium saucepan here, and to that we're going to add some extra virgin olive oil, which once again, like canola oil, is a very healthy choice for fats. And to that we're going to put 1 teaspoon, so we're not going to cook with a lot of it either. And we're going to start with a medium-high pan. And I know our recipe says to add all our vegetables together, but I like to cook sort of in the order of the hardest vegetable. So those right into our pan. So I don't hear any sizzle yet, so I'm going to turn that up just a little bit more to get those started. Then, like I said, next I'm going to do the onion. And I already have one here sort of started for me. And once again, another half cup of onion. And I'm just going to eyeball it. Feel free to measure if you'd like. Add more onion, add less. Oh, I hear a bit of sizzle. We're starting to cook in there. And once again, I'm not going to be too picky on the half cup measure. For diabetics, the carrots will have more carbohydrates, so that is probably the most important vegetable to measure here. And then to our pepper. Once again, make that round pepper flat. And once you get it open, it's very easy to grab onto that core. Almost no waste. A few seeds caught in there, give it a clap. Catch it in the trash can if you like. And so we do have an orange and a white. A green pepper would also look nice in there, yellow. And the last thing, we need 2 cloves of garlic. And once again, in the store, the whole sort of group of the garlic, we call that the head. When you break it apart, each small piece that comes with it, we'll call that the clove. And to peel those, sometimes that skin sticks quite a bit. Just a gentle flatten with the knife. And sometimes those cloves jump right out of that skin. Hardly any work at all. And a nice stir. You can actually see a bit of color coming in on the onions. They're going to start to become translucent where they're not quite as bright white. That's a good sign they're cooking. And we can go right into adding our spices. We're going to have some thyme, oregano, and it calls for dried parsley. But I think a fresh parsley is brighter color, gives you a little better flavor. And whenever substituting a fresh herb for a dry herb, the dry herb will take 1/3 the amount. And so for our parsley here, they're calling for, looks like ½ teaspoon. So I'm going to use 1½ teaspoons now of the fresh parsley. And once again, chop that as small as you like. Once again, same ½ teaspoon oregano. And thyme, ½ teaspoon thyme. We're going to use pinto beans in this soup. And the one thing with beans, you want to watch out for the sodium. And so whenever we use a canned vegetable anytime, it's always a good idea to strain it. And then if you give that a rinse, it's a nice little rinse. And also, it'll also help take away a bit of a tinniness from some of the cans if you happen to notice that. And so for this soup, it's going to be a vegetable soup. Our beans are going to add the protein. So that's a plant-based protein, which will be lower in fat. It'll have none of the animal fats, so no cholesterol or any saturated fat such as that. But at the same time, be plenty of nice mouthfeel. It's got a firmness to the bean, and it's going to fill you up. And then we have a ½ cup of stock. You can use chicken stock, beef stock, vegetable stock, or just water if you'd like. And we need a ½ cup sauce, tomato sauce, I'm sorry. And once we get that simmering, I think we get a little more salt and pepper in there and a bit of sweetness to cut the acid of that tomato. We have a ½ teaspoon brown sugar, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper is all. And once again, 1/8 teaspoon, a pinch, a little bit more won't hurt. And that's it. Now we're just going to set our soup to simmer. And when our muffins are finished, we're going to serve our soup with our muffins. Okay, so our soup is ready. It's been simmering here. Our vegetables are soft. It's been about 22, 23 minutes on our muffins. Oh, and they have a nice golden color on them. That's mainly what we're looking for, and if they start to pull away, so look, they're nice and loose in that pan, so I'm sure they're ready. And so this soup, once again, is quite high in fiber. It's from the plant-based protein of the beans. Of course, it's very colorful from our vegetables. And it's going to go nicely with those cheese muffins. And if you ever want to try to dress it up a bit, you know, you could always give a little slice on your muffin. Since we have a little bit of parsley in there, And there we are. Our hearty bean soup with our cheddar biscuit. Thank you for joining us here with Michigan State University Extension, Dining with Diabetes. Once again, my name is Don Zimmer, and enjoy your meal.